Hello guys, welcome back! Today I'll be answering some of your questions while sketching a couple of faces on Clip Studio, first time using it on my channel. For the new people here, you can call me Halli, I'm a digital artist and this is my cozy art channel. You can also find me on Ko-fi, where you can download all my brush sets. And now let's jump into the questions. Alright, so the first question is, how do you choose your references and how do you manage to express the emotions perfectly through the art? Thank you so much for your kindness. So I don't really use visual references all the time. It's actually very rare for me to use them because I usually start with an idea already in mind. If I use references, is usually when I can't draw a pose properly and it's not really coming into my head. So I search for a visual photographic reference, which is the suggestion I always give. If you're looking for a reference, always search for a photograph of real people because that will also help you with anatomy. So while you're taking inspiration from your reference, you're also learning and practicing anatomy. And about the expressiveness of the characters, you can definitely practice with real photographs too, and maybe find really exaggerated facial expressions to copy and study. But one thing I noticed that I do, and I believe it makes a difference, is actually making that face yourself while you're drawing. I'm not kidding, I don't know what it is because I obviously am not drawing in front of a mirror, but making the facial expression helps me mentally when I'm drawing, and most of the times I find myself doing it subconsciously. I hope nobody looks at me while I draw. Maybe this is a myth I created, but I don't know, it works. So speaking about inspiration, this question is, I'm curious as to who are the artists and things you draw inspiration from. So as you probably noticed, and I've also talked about this before, but my favorite and main source of inspiration is my childhood favorite comics. For example, Witch. You can probably tell how much my art is influenced by Witch if you've ever seen or read the comic. The artist that created Witch is Alessandro Barbucci and Barbara Canepa. She does the coloring, she's a colorist, and their work is just fantastic. It's probably my main source of inspiration and I have looked up to them literally since I was a child. My art is really influenced by that and by that same vibe. The feeling that their art gives me is freedom pretty much, and I really strive to have my characters to be that expressive. And definitely look them up, look for Witch and you'll see their work, and they make amazing things together. Of course, through the years I was also influenced by anime and manga, so my art went through phases. If you've seen my previous video where I showed my old drawings, but that's something that we all go through phases. So leaning towards this art style was way more suited for me because I realized that I wasn't drawing things that made me happy. I kind of was drawing things that I thought were cool at that time, but they didn't give me the same, wonder effect I had when I was a child reading those comics. I feel like it's more of a vibe, the atmosphere that art can create, more than a style itself. And that goes from the way you draw, of course, your characters, to even the colors and the ambience you create. So it's kind of a little universe of things you create in your own canvas. Alright, next questions. Are you planning to make emotes videos as well, and the way you animate? And what got you to art? I combined these two questions because they were pretty much the same. So the first one is easy and not really, because I'm trying to step away from that type of art, not because I don't like it, but because I've done so much. I've worked for a lot of creators that needed emotes and this type of artworks, and since it's not my favorite thing to draw, I'm kind of trying to move on to different things and focus on to what I really want to do. I use used to animate emotes, and I have to admit I still have clients that, older clients, they maybe ask me for emotes, and I still do emotes for them. But yes, I prefer to focus now on two different things. Again, mainly because I've done this for such a long time that I'm gonna be honest, I got bored. So I don't think you'll see any emote in particular content from me, but who knows, in the future, you never know with art. It depends on what you're inspired with. And the next question is, what got you to art? What made you start making art? When I was a kid, I was always leaning towards artistic things, whether it was music or drawing. Drawing was like maybe one of the things we all do when we are children, Some just naturally drift away from it, and others just keep leaning onto art in general, and that's what I did. So I always knew in my heart, since I was 10 years old maybe, that this is what I wanted to do for a living. And of course my parents were worried at the beginning, because now we have internet, of course, and we as artists are supported by social media. We can build, I'll talk about this later. We are supported by social media, but when I went to school, of course, this huge social media panorama wasn't really a thing. So selling your art was, of course, a challenge, but I wanted to keep going and keep following what I wanted to do. And yes, the thing that got me to art, I believe it was the first set of colors that my parents got me. It was like a kit for oil painting, and from that I was really hooked. As I got older, I kept on trying different techniques, drawing my favorite comic and video games characters. When graphic tablets came into the equation, I wanted to try it so bad, so I got my first graphic tablet, and here we are. Next question, this is a fun one. Do you plan on making a comic with your OCs? So I must admit I don't have many OCs, meaning character that I frequently redraw, that I created and frequently redraw. I have one, it's called Aura, and indeed I created that character as a protagonist for a comic idea I had in mind a couple years ago. And to be honest with you, I also wrote the first couple of pages for this idea, and it had to be kind of a graphic novel, not really a comic, so kind of a book alternated with artworks. So it's a project I have. I really don't know, because it's hard, you guys. Creating a solid story is hard, and I am a reader, so I love reading. I am very picky with the things I read, so writing and creating a story is like all a different thing. It's not just drawing. So if I do this, I want to do it well, and of course I'll let you know. Okay, let's get into a more juicy question. I have a long answer for this one. And first of all, thank you so much. I'm glad my heart feels cozy. So the question is, are you a full-time artist? Is it sustainable financially for you? If so, how did you build up to that point? So yes, I do fully sustain myself with art. I am a full-time artist. But for complete transparency, I'll tell you that my income doesn't come only from art itself, but also from the work I am doing on social media, which for me is an extension of my creative process. So I have commissions, which are my main income, occasional sponsorship on Instagram and YouTube, although this channel is very new, so I only did one sponsorship, my little shop of brushes on Ko-fi, and this YouTube channel itself. How did I get to this point though? I started by working from an Italian network that provided assets, illustrations and graphics for other creators, and that lasted for 2 to 3 years. And then I left because I didn't like how things were managed anymore, and I only started working for my private clients by choice, and I do this to this day. My Instagram grew in the meantime because I love creating videos and visual content in general, like reels, and so I was able to get more clients and even recurring clients, which is something you should want. Of course, there are months where I have less work, but that's just the freelance life, at least my freelance life. Now, I am well aware that most artists don't like posting on social media, creating content, promoting themselves. It's something, it's heavy to do it if you don't enjoy it, and I completely understand. Sometimes you just want to create your art and that's it. But of course, we are lucky enough, I feel like, to have these platforms where we can promote ourselves. I think that if you don't enjoy that path, the social media path, you should probably try a different way. So working more privately, maybe sending out your portfolio to studios and editors you want to work for, or you could get an agent that can find jobs for you, which is something I am contemplating recently because I'd really love to get into illustrating books. So yes, social media definitely played a huge role into me making art my day-to-day job, and I've been doing this for more than 7 years now, so I'm not saying it's easy and you need to persevere, but it's most definitely not impossible. Alright, so next question. Recommended books, course videos to improve art, study, learn your art style, and how do you know where to align the features on the face, and what technique would you recommend? Okay, so I have developed this particular style through the years, and as I mentioned before, some of my inspirations, it was mostly thanks to those childhood influences. I have started to post tutorials on this channel too. If you missed them, they are all in a single playlist on my channel, and I definitely plan to post more in the future. I have one where I show you how to draw the head step by step, and I'll link it here if you want to watch it. But yes, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button thingy so you'll know when I post new videos and new tutorials. Okay, next question. How do you return back to art after not drawing for a long time? Alright, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. In April, I went through one of the worst art blocks of my life, so this is recent. I understand the pain, so I took a little bit of time off from the screen and started something completely different. I went back to drawing traditionally, as you probably saw from a couple of my videos. Taking time off is important if you are a creative person, and that doesn't make you lazy. It's part of recharging your batteries. So if you're just getting back into art and you're feeling lost, I'd say take a new, fresh and clean sketchbook, grab a pencil and just draw whatever comes into your head. You can even watch this video or other artists' video and try to recreate the same characters. It could be a fun challenge. At this stage, it's easy to get discouraged right away and drop everything again, so it's important to keep going, and the result doesn't matter because you need to think of it as a practice. It won't be artworks destined to be finalized pieces, and this way your mind will feel more free to create and get back into a creative routine without feeling stressed. Okay guys, final question because this video is getting way too long, and this one is coming from Instagram, and it is: how did it take you before you were comfortable / confident in your skills? And this is an easy one. A long time. At the beginning I was super scared of taking commissions and even posting my art. I was afraid that the client would ask for something I couldn't draw or I wasn't familiar with, and that held me back so much at the beginning. See, this is something that it's really tied to your personality too, and how you see yourself and how you perceive yourself and your capabilities and your skills. I think it's very important to be objectively self-aware of your skills and recognize when it's time to offer commissions, etc. But it's also important to trust yourself and not be too overcritical of your own work and putting yourself down. I was doing that for a while. I would look at my art and the next day I finished a drawing, I'd be like, this is awful and I don't like it. Don't be like that. Self-aware of what you still need to improve and learn, it's okay, but putting yourself down, it's a no. Alright you guys, thank you so much for watching. I feel like I blabbed way too much in this video. I hope it's not too long, but if you made it here, please let me know if you'd like to see longer videos, because to be honest, as a viewer, I really like to watch long videos, but I wanna hear from you, so let me know in the comments down below. If I missed your question, don't worry, I take everything into consideration for the next Q&A, but thank you so much for asking me something and for being curious and of my opinion. So you guys, I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you all next week. Bye!